if food and compostable packaging are treated through the same route, why did you ask people to put them in separate bins?
That's a good question. So it's primarily an economic factor in that treating food is relatively low cost per kilo, and treating compostable materials is relatively high cost per kilo. If you have large quantities of food, it makes sense to send that to anaerobic digestion. It is a more economically attractive way of dealing with that material stream, and therefore we recommend separating that out as a separate food stream. If you have small amounts of scraps, which are table waste that are in with the packaging, which typically will end up in a recycling bin or a waste bin, then capturing that as a additional material with compostable packaging makes a lot of sense. So, but the primary driver is economic. If you've got a lot of food, it makes much more sense to send that separately for anaerobic digestion.
And so I'd like to follow on from that and say that the economics are sort of set in place by government policy. So they're currently skewed to favour anaerobic digestion because of the ability to feed the gas grid. So essentially there's green energy production. So you've got food waste going to AD to produce green energy, which obviously is a really good thing. However, by accident, somehow it's skewed the economics of it. So it's very, very cheap to send food waste to AD, and there's no subsidies for composting. And so this is unfortunate because it means that compost is being overlooked, the health of soil is being ignored. So there's a really fantastic report that is coming out very soon. I actually put it in the chat, but it's by Jane Gilbert, and it is the Soil Food Biowaste Policy Disconnect. Long title, but I promise it's very easy to read. It's really interesting about how the UK has to take soil health really seriously in terms of food security in the UK. And so it's a skewed landscape. So what Tom's described is his experience as a business, but if you take one step up, actually it doesn't have to be that way. It's just a choice in terms of what you subsidise and what you don't. So obviously we'd like to see composting recognised for the useful, vital task it does. And hopefully, Natalie Goodchild, you asked a related question. Tom, do you have any thoughts? What is the maximum percentage of food to vegware that you could have in a bin? And could you, in theory, combine waste streams? Well, I mean, I think it's sort of the same answer, isn't it? Really, Tom?
Yeah, it's kind of site specific, really. But so 10 to 20% food is kind of what we deem as the kind of we wouldn't recommend you would put in extra bins for food if that's the kind of numbers you're at. If it's kind of 60% food, then we would have a conversation about whether it was the right thing to do, and there would be price implications that you'd need to think about. So yeah, we, as Lucy pointed out, there are much higher level considerations that are going on here, but we deal in the real world where people have to pay to take stuff away, and we have to explain to people, what the price consequence of different disposal methods are.
Sorry, I'm getting distracted by all the Q&A. There's loads of questions coming in now. On that previous question, around the UK where we deal with other collectors and we also collect ourselves, there are collectors who do commingle, and then there's no particular rules about how much food waste there should be in the bin. There's only the manual handling consideration, just because food waste itself is very heavy, so you don't want to hurt anybody's back if they're hauling bins around.